This is the story of John List, one of the most successful disappearances in American history, and the one sculpture that finally ended it. Imagine coming home from work, walking into your 19-room Victorian mansion, and finding your entire family shot dead, lined up like they're waiting for a funeral that never came. That's exactly what happened on December 7, 1971, in Westfield, New Jersey, and for the next 18 years, the killer lived right under everyone's nose, as your friendly neighborhood accountant named Bob. This is the story of John List, one of the most successful disappearances in American history, and the one sculpture that finally ended it. Chapter 1: The Perfect Family Man. On the outside, John Emil List was the guy you wanted next door. Lutheran church every Sunday. Suit and tie. Quiet. Polite. He lived in this massive Gothic mansion called Breeze Knoll, 19 rooms, ballroom, stained glass skylight designed by Tiffany. People in Westfield still called it the castle on the hill. But inside, everything was cracking. John had been fired from his banking job months earlier, and hadn't told anyone. The savings were gone. The house was drowning in debt. His wife Helen had syphilis from her first marriage, something she hid from him until after the wedding. His mother Alma lived upstairs and hated Helen. The kids were teenagers, typical 1970s rebellion. John, a deeply religious man, became convinced his family was slipping into sin, and that money problems would force them onto welfare, the ultimate shame in his mind. He decided the only way to save their souls was to kill them all. Chapter 2, November 9, 1971. John woke up like any other Tuesday. He kissed his wife goodbye, watched his daughter Patty, 16, leave for school, then his sons John Jr., 15, and Frederick, 13. As soon as the last kid walked out the door, he took his 9mm stair pistol, walked upstairs, and shot his 84-year-old mother Alma in the back of the head. One shot. She never even woke up. He cleaned the blood, dragged her body to her apartment above the garage, then waited. His wife Helen came home from an appointment. He shot her in the face. She dropped in the kitchen. The kids came home one by one. Patty first, he shot her in the kitchen. John Jr. next, he actually fought back, so John shot him 10 times. Frederick last, he was crying and praying when John killed him. Then John did something chillingly methodical. He dragged all the bodies into the ballroom, lined them up on sleeping bags like soldiers, covered them with blankets, and crossed their arms over their chests. He left his mother upstairs because, in his words, she was too heavy. He wrote a 5-page confession letter to his pastor explaining everything, 2,000 words, saying God had told him to do it so they'd all go to heaven instead of living in poverty and sin. Then he did the creepiest housekeeping ever. Cut himself out of every family photo with scissors. Turned the thermostat to 50 so the bodies wouldn't smell. Left all the lights on in the house. Tuned every radio to the classical religious station. Left the confession on his desk. Ate a sandwich. And just walked away. Chapter 3, 18 Years of Nothing. Breeze Knoll sat empty for a month. Neighbors thought the Lists were on vacation. Finally, on December 7th, the ballroom chandelier short-circuited and started sparking. Fire department broke in and found the bodies. The country was horrified. Interpol red notice. FBI top 10 most wanted. But John List had vanished like a ghost. No trace. Chapter 4, The Second Life. Here's where it gets insane. He took a train to Michigan, then Denver, changed his name to Robert Peter Clark, Bob Clark, got glasses, grew a gut, and started over. He got a job as a comptroller, joined a Lutheran church, same denomination, went to potlucks, bowled in a league, and in 1985, remarried a woman named Dolores who thought he was a widowed military vet. For 18 years, Bob Clark paid taxes, voted, went to Bible study, and never once slipped. His new friends said he was the most boring, normal guy you'd ever meet. Chapter 5, The Bust That Broke the Case. By 1989 the trail was ice cold. Then America's Most Wanted decided to run the story for the first time. Detectives knew a normal age-progressed photo wouldn't work. List had changed everything about his look. So they brought in forensic sculptor Frank Bender, the guy who basically invented the modern age progression bust. Bender had a hunch. List was vain about his looks when young, but deeply religious. He figured List would let himself go physically, but would still comb his hair the same way and keep that same stern Lutheran stare. Bender sculpted a bust with receding hair, jowls, thick glasses, but that unmistakable List scowl. It looked nothing like the 1960s photos, and everything like the man living in Virginia. The episode aired Sunday, May 21, 1989. 11 days later, a woman in Richmond named Wanda Flake was watching with her neighbor. She froze. She said, "That looks exactly like my neighbor Bob Clark, except Bob's nicer." She called the tip line. FBI showed up at Bob Clark's accounting office on June 1, 1989. They asked for fingerprints. He said, "You've got me." Prints matched. John List, age 63, caught. Chapter 6, The End. At trial, List claimed temporary insanity, said God told him to do it. The jury didn't buy it. 5 consecutive life sentences. He died in prison in 2008 at age 82 from pneumonia, still insisting he did the right thing. Epilogue. The mansion? Burned to the ground in 2020. Arson suspected, never solved. Nothing left but a hole in the ground. So the next time someone says, people can't just disappear anymore. Remember, John List lived an entire second life for nearly 2 decades, went to church, got married again, paid taxes. All while the bodies of his family lay under a Tiffany skylight waiting for a sculpture to finally bring him home. If that doesn't keep you up at night, I don't know what will. Like if this one got under your skin. Comment the wildest cold case you want next. And subscribe, because the quiet ones are always the scariest.